You're listening to Music Tectonics.
Welcome back to Music Tectonics, where we go beneath the surface of music and tech. I'm Shaylee Ankenbrook, Music Tectonics conference planner at Rock Paper Scissors, the PR firm that specializes in music, innovation, and music technology. This week we have more to share from NAMM, the annual trade show for musical instruments, gear, software, pro audio, and event tech. Now, you might already know Splice as a royalty-free sound and sample library, but at NAMM, Eleanor found out about CoSo, their new tool for discovery and creation, with Alejandro Koretzky, head of AI, ML, and audio science innovation at Splice. Here's Eleanor at NAMM.
This is Eleanor. I am back on the trade show floor at NAMM, and I'm here with Alejandro Koretzky. Could you tell us a little bit about CoSo by Splice that was launched earlier this spring?
Yeah, it'll be my pleasure. So thanks for having me. Thanks for having Splice, or having me representing Splice at NAMM. CoSo. So we released CoSo about a month ago. CoSo stands for compatible sounds, but it's much more than that. In a nutshell, CoSo is, we describe it as an intelligent musical sketchpad for instant inspiration. And that has a lot of implications, but in a nutshell, the product as it is today, what it does is, given a reference sound, which can be a sample from the Splice marketplace, it can in milliseconds can bring the most compatible sounds available in the catalog. So what that means is that where before you had to spend a lot of time scrolling through thousands of samples, trying to find samples based on key, now you can that is brought back to seconds, where you can find sounds that just sound well together, and that's a big breakthrough.
Wow. Can you describe your role at Splice and your role in creating CoSo?
Sure. So I'm the head of machine learning and audio science innovation, and that's I joined Splice like 4.5 years ago to pretty much build the team from the ground up and basically figure out what modern AI, especially machine learning technology, could do for the business, and more importantly, what it could do for creators at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. So how does CoSo evolve from Splice's expertise? I think it's best known probably as that sound library.
Sure. So, fundamentally, CoSo is a discovery technology. So when you think about the Splice marketplace, we have millions of really high quality sounds. As the catalog grows, so does the challenge of finding the right sound, right? So it's like a double-edged sword. So technologies like CoSo, and we like to think about its older sibling, CoSo, which is similar sounds, which we released a couple of years ago. They are discovery technologies, intelligent discovery technologies that make it much easier to find relevant sounds. And now with CoSo, in the context of creation, which is something very important.
Mm-hmm. So just to be clear, this is not the kind of tag matching or metadata trawling that we've seen before. It's not rule-based, right?
That is correct, and that's why it's a significant breakthrough, because many companies have tried to achieve this in the past, and using a rules-based system or matching samples based on key information and all that. And it can work to a certain degree, but it doesn't scale well, it doesn't generalize well, and usually ends up not working well. CoSo works fundamentally differently, and it uses the audio data itself in order to compute or measure compatibility between sounds. So
it doesn't depend on somebody having good metadata hygiene, good metadata input, no data entry. It's really just the sound itself.
CoSo, you can throw a piece of audio at it and it will know what to do, which is amazing. Yeah. And it makes it scale very well, because we can just...
The more you add, the more is available. Wow. So who did you build CoSo for? Is there a kind of user or creator that you had in mind? Maybe like creators in a particular musical genre? Is this for experts? Is it for beginners?
That's a great question. And I've always defined CoSo as a product agnostic piece of technology, and almost use case agnostic, because when you think about the fundamental problems in modern music production, something that almost everyone can relate to is this thing where I want to get started with something, and I want to find that sound in my head and work from there. And when you think about CoSo, on the beginner side, or even for someone who's never made music before, for the first time they can experience the joy, that magic moment of, oh wow, I created something. So on that front, it's almost like a zero friction, no learning curve entry point to the ability to actually make music that's unique and that's yours. And we think, and we're already seeing it, that it's inspiring people who've never made music before, or who've been intimidated by the DAW and all these tools, to give it a shot at learning music.
Yeah.
On the other side of the spectrum, you have the more professional user. Now they're saving a huge amount of time searching for the right sound or something that works well with their creation, and now they can use all that time to focus on making other more important creative decisions instead of like searching for something. And then there's many groups in the middle, or like vocalists or songwriters. I mean, we're so excited because we truly not only believe, but we're seeing it already. CoSo can bring value to the full spectrum of creators.
Oh, fantastic. So it's pretty early days for CoSo, but I wondered if you have seen any creators do things that are surprising and interesting with it?
Oh yeah. It's been a lot of fun to see how people actually use it, because we build it around a number of hypotheses of how we think they would use it. So we got most of them right, and some not wrong, but we've been pleasantly surprised by how people have used it, and we've seen like videos on TikTok or YouTube where people are starting to create performances.
Oh wow.
So CoSo right now, it creates kind of like a 8-bar looping idea.
Okay.
So now people are starting to create screen recordings, and they're using like the mute and the solo and all these mechanics to actually perform and create kind of like a longer form piece of music.
Wow.
So, and that's a very strong signal that we're already thinking about, because that tells us that there's a desire or a need to go beyond the 8-bar idea into something that's longer form.
So CoSo right now is a mobile app. You can do that 8-bar loop. How are you planning to involve? Do you have a roadmap for the next level for CoSo?
Definitely. Not that I can talk a lot about.
Of course.
No, but what I can say, and it does, is no secret, it makes a lot of sense. Such a powerful piece of technology, we want to bring it pretty much everywhere, because it can create so much value across all the different workflows. So we think of this mobile app as the first embodiment of CoSo, and a good entry point, and because it's mobile, you can be on the go, it's like very easy. But we envision a future where you're going to be able to work with CoSo from your DAW, which is going to be a big deal. You're going to be able to bring your own content and seed a new stack. A stack is kind of like the creation that comes out of CoSo, using your own content, and that's going to enable some really interesting use cases.
Let's talk a little bit about the interface. You mentioned seeds, and you mentioned stacks. Can you talk about how that works?
Sure. So, under the hood, what CoSo relies on this idea of a seed sample, the one that, or like a reference sound. So right now, when you go into the mobile app, the CoSo mobile app, so zooming out for a second, we like to think about these two core principles that are very important, and they are, we need to let users arrive at a great starting point, given some input or some intent. And right now it's in the form of these genre and style templates, that when you open the app and you click new stack, you have this list of like around 10 templates. And what that does is it randomly picks an initial sample, a seed from the Splice catalog, and then it incrementally starts bringing new layers, and that's how a stack is created. And it's unique. Every time you create a new stack, no one has ever had that stack before. But more importantly, what's great about this, and we were very intentional about this factor, is, we believe music is, a human form of expression. Music will always be subjective. So it's not about how good the AI is. The AI gives you a good starting point to inspire you. And once you found something that you can work with that you're like, oh, I can make this my own. We have these great mechanics that allow you to fine tune it, or like if you swipe right on any layer, for instance, it will in milliseconds bring you the next most compatible layer of that kind. Let's say a guitar. I want to explore guitars. You can add layers, you can delete layers, soon you're going to be able to do other stuff, but that's what's most important, that we always keep the human at the center, and is AI assisting and helping the human express themselves.
So let's get a little bit bigger picture view. In recent years, AI and ML in music has been a buzzword, kind of for better or for worse. People have used it to make their companies sound more interesting maybe than they are, but also we've seen headlines where AI music means robots are stealing songwriters' jobs. What's wrong with those approaches to thinking about AI and ML for music? What do you think is the right way to think about the role?
Sure. Well, I mean, fundamentally what we've been experiencing over the past 10 years, kind of like the new wave of modern AI brought by modern machine learning, which are these big neural network models that rely on or are trained on a massive amount of data. But fundamentally, when you think about what software has been, it's been automation. Basically, software is automation, and this rules-based system that we've seen over the years, is nothing but automation. Modern machine learning, it's I like to think it as a change of paradigm where you start automating the automation, and you do so by bringing data. So, there are some legitimate concerns about modern AI because it's extremely powerful. It's an extremely powerful new paradigm of automation, and it's already changing the world, and it's only getting started. So I think we have the responsibility to use it in the right way. But when it comes to music, yeah, it's true. There's been a lot of buzzword because obviously AI has been a sexy word. It's been great for fundraising in many cases. I think the good news is that the hype is starting to cool down, and now companies are being forced to now we need to prove. Now we need to that we're actually making something out of it. So I think it's very important to be intentional about the role of AI and the role of the human in a user experience. It doesn't happen by accident that you end up putting the human at the center. It needs to be intentional. And at Splice, that's definitely the case. We build these tools that will always deliver on being the human, the one behind the wheel, the one being the ultimate decision maker. And that's very important.
Yes, interesting. Are there trends or developments in AI and ML for music that are getting you excited? Maybe things you're not involved in, but that you're seeing elsewhere in the world? Yeah,
definitely. There's a lot happening. For those who know a little bit about ML, I kind of see like the last 10 years have been, we've seen the power of supervised learning, and that's been huge, obviously. But now we're starting to see the real output of the investment over the past few years on unsupervised learning. So things are getting really interesting and pretty crazy. And yeah, one of the things that I'm still blown away. I can't believe how incredible this is. Some of the models in the image domain. I don't know, you might have heard about DALL-E 2 or Imagen by Google. So these are these models that, given a text prompt, they create these beautiful photorealistic photos or pictures. And it's pretty mind-blowing. Yeah. It's pretty mind-blowing. So, I don't know, it makes me think about what the future holds, and especially for audio and music, things are going to get really interesting. Oh, fantastic. So, on that note, can we look into the future a little bit and get sci-fi, a little science fictional? How do you think people will be creating music in the next 5 to 10 years? What do you, if you could shape that future, what would it look like? All right. I mean, you are. Let me give it a shot. Let's imagine big. If I get it right, it's going to be great. Yeah. That's kind of like my job. I need to figure that out. So I don't think in terms of like, sci-fi or anything. I think it's more about, what I think is that the next 5 years at least are not going to be so much about yet a new breakthrough in AI, applied to music or audio. Maybe, I'm sure there's going to be some incremental, fundamental developments, but I think at this point we have more than enough technology. We have a lot of amazing building blocks, but we need to understand and learn how to leverage them in the right way. So what I think is that in the near future, when it comes to music creation, we're going to see a shift from pure creation mechanics. So far when you think about music production, you need to start from nothing. You need to create on top of that until you feel comfortable with what you have. But fundamentally, the mechanic by which you get started, you make progress, and you finish a piece is creation. If that makes sense. Yes. It will make sense more now. I think in the near future, we're going to see a combination of intelligent discovery, curation, and creation. So in the near future, music production, there's going to be an element where you can find something that's relevant very easily and very fast. Like CoSo, you can think about it as a discovery technology, right? That enables intelligent creation, right?
Right.
When you swipe right on CoSo, I like to describe it as an example of a curation mechanic. So I see more and more tools that are going to be built around this. I think it's going to be a new paradigm that seamlessly integrates discovery, curation, and creation into a single experience. And it's going to be challenging to get it right, because not only you need to figure out a new way to create, and a new how to bring the traditional DAW-like workflow into modern design patterns, but at the same time, what is the right blend of automation and control? Hitting that sweet spot is actually harder than people think.
Yes.
But that's going to be, in my mind, the right investment for us and for other companies in the space.
Fantastic. So how can people get started creating with CoSo? Where can we find CoSo in its current form?
Sure. So they can right now go and download the app, first of all.
Is it in both Apple and Android?
Yeah, both. And it's great, and it works great on both platforms. They need to have a Splice account, but we do have a free version, so you just need to sign up to Splice. If you're a paying subscriber, you get access to premium templates and more content. And the great news is that it's almost self-explanatory. Like, once you're in the app, you go create a new stack, you choose a template that will create a unique stack that's never been heard before. And from there, you can add new layers, you can delete, you can swipe right on any layer to get more compatible sounds. And once you're happy with it, there's a little share button at the bottom right, and you can share it with friends. You can view it on Splice. So basically, when you click view on Splice, it will automatically create a new web page that has your stack and all the underlying Splice samples from the marketplace.
Oh, wow. Which
Which is pretty cool, because from there you can download those samples, you can add them to your likes, and if you would like to continue that creation in your DAW of choice, you can do so very easily, because then you can find those samples on your Splice desktop app, right? We'll continue working on new ways to, or better ways to integrate the experience that you get from the mobile app and the desktop experience, and how to bring that into the DAW more easily. So it's only going to get easier and better to create stacks and take them to whatever you want.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Ale, for talking with you today. I hope you had a great NAMM show. I hope the last day is even better. Thanks for being a guest on Music Tectonics.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to this special episode of Music Tectonics, recorded at the 2022 NAMM show. There's more to come from NAMM, so if you like what you hear, please subscribe on your favorite podcast app. We have new episodes every week. Did you know that you can dig deeper into all our episodes with the show notes at musictectonics.com? That's also where you'll find the latest about our annual conference and a sign up for our newsletter. Everything we do explores the seismic shifts that shake up music and technology, the way the Earth's tectonic plates cause quakes and make mountains. Connect with Music Tectonics on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Bye-bye.
You're listening to Music Tectonics.